In ancient Egypt, the dead were not buried in silence. They were armed with a guide of nearly 200 spells. The Egyptians called it the Book of Coming Forth by Day, and its purpose was to survive the Duat, a deadly underworld of guarded gates, knife-bearing demons, and divine judges who weighed the worth of a soul. Fail that journey, and what awaited was not eternal suffering. It was something far worse. The modern name Book of the Dead is a 19th century invention. To the ancient Egyptians, these texts were known as RANWPRTMHRW, the spells of coming forth by day. Far from a single standardized book, this was a customizable collection of funerary literature. Scribes inked these protective formulas onto rolls of papyrus, tailoring each selection to the specific fears and social standing of the buyer. The wealthy commissioned long, lavish scrolls rich with colored illustrations, while poorer individuals purchased shorter, mass-produced templates where names were simply filled into blank spaces. Placed directly inside the coffin, or wrapped within the mummy bandages, each personalized scroll functioned as a practical survival manual designed to help the deceased cross into the next world. This spiritual guidance developed over more than a millennium. Its origins trace back to around 2350 BCE with the pyramid texts. Scribes carved these earliest funerary spells directly into the limestone walls of royal burial chambers, reserving these protective formulas exclusively for the pharaoh and a few select queens. By the Middle Kingdom, around 2100 BCE, this royal monopoly began to fracture. The spells migrated to the wooden surfaces of elite sarcophagi, becoming the coffin texts used by wealthy nobles and high officials. By the New Kingdom, around 1550 BCE, the emergence of portable papyrus scrolls allowed anyone who could afford a scribe to acquire these sacred guides. This gradual shift widened access to the afterlife, transforming once exclusive royal secrets into a commercial service for the prosperous classes. The world the deceased entered was the Duat, a perilous netherworld of guarded gates, lakes of fire, and knife-wielding monstrous guardians. In this volatile territory, the laws of the physical world no longer applied. To survive, the dead required immediate, practical tools. The spells in the scroll were not abstract prayers, but active weapons. Without them, a spirit risked starvation, suffocation, or permanent paralysis. Specific formulas granted the deceased the ability to breathe air, drink water, and move freely through the dark passages. Other incantations enabled the soul to take the shape of divine creatures, like a golden falcon or a lotus, to evade hostile forces. In the Duat, ignorance meant destruction. The dead had to speak the exact words of power to disarm monsters and open the massive gates. Without this protective knowledge, the soul would be eternally trapped, lost in the shadows, or utterly destroyed. The path through the Duat is not an open road, but a succession of fortified gates. In spells 144 through 147, the deceased encounters these massive barriers, each guarded by a triad of fearsome, knife-bearing demons. These sentinels do not evaluate moral worth. Instead, they demand precise, ritual identification. To pass, the traveler must address the doorkeepers, guardians, and heralds by their secret names, such as the crocodile-headed RSJ Ahar or the minor deity Duan H3T. In Egyptian theology, knowing and speaking a name granted absolute power over that being, turning a hostile monster into an ally. Unprepared souls face immediate threats from venomous serpents and beasts lurking in the dark passages. Without the exact phonetic passwords preserved in the papyrus, a single forgotten syllable or misspoken name would bar the gate permanently, leaving the soul stranded in the eternal shadows. Inside the Hall of Two Truths, the deceased faces a rigorous moral trial. A tribunal of 42 divine judges, representing the diverse aspects of cosmic order, waits to examine the traveler's life. Here, ritual spells alone are insufficient, and the deceased must prove their ethical purity through a spoken declaration of innocence, known as the negative confession. To pass this tribunal, the soul must address each of the 42 judges by their true name, establishing spiritual authority. Before each deity, the traveler denies a specific transgression, declaring they have not stolen, they have not killed, and they have not spoken lies. This extensive moral accounting serves as a comprehensive record of a human life. Only a soul capable of honestly uttering these 42 denials could hope to satisfy the judges and secure passage through the hall. Ancient Egyptians believed that the ultimate record of a person's life resided not in the brain, but in the heart, the IB. This physical organ was viewed as a conscious entity that silently gathered and stored every deed, thought, and motive. In the presence of the divine tribunal, this internal record posed a terrifying threat. The heart could speak independently, acting as an unpredictable prosecutor and testifying directly against its owner. To guard against this betrayal of the self, embalmers placed a green stone or glazed faience scarab amulet directly over the physical heart inside the mummy bandages. This heavy amulet, which symbolized rebirth and eternal life, was inscribed with spell 30b, a protective formula designed to muzzle the conscience. In the famous papyrus of the scribe Ani, created around 1250 BCE, the spell preserves a desperate, deeply personal plea addressed directly to the organ. Do not stand up as a witness against me. Through this ritual magic, the deceased sought to bind their own memories, preventing their most intimate record from exposing any hidden moral failure to the gods. The ultimate reckoning takes place at the great wooden scales in the center of the Hall of Two Truths. Here, the physical heart of the deceased is placed on one side of the balance. On the opposite pan rests the single feather of Ma'at, the absolute standard of truth, justice, and cosmic order. Anubis, the jackal-headed guardian of the scale, kneels to conduct the balance. He carefully adjusts the plumb bob, steadying the delicate instrument with his fingers to ensure an exact measurement. Nearby stands the ibis-headed scribe Thoth. Holding his wooden palette and reed brush, Thoth watches the indicator, ready to record the eternal verdict. Every protective spell, every secret name whispered at the gates, and the muzzling magic of the Heart Scarab culminate in this single, silent suspension. The scales measure only the moral weight of a lifetime. If the heart balances perfectly against the feather, the traveler is declared true of voice. This light heart proves the soul's worthiness, granting them safe passage into the eternal paradise of the field of reeds. Should the scales tip and the heart prove heavy with transgression, the consequences were absolute. Beside the balance waited Ammit, the devourer of the dead. Scribes depicted this hybrid creature with the head of a crocodile, the forequarters of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus, combining the three most feared predators of the Nile. When a heart failed the test, Ammit swallowed it, inflicting what the Egyptians termed the second death. This second death brought the permanent erasure of the soul. Denied entry to the field of reeds, the individual's identity was dissolved into non-existence. Yet Egyptian afterlife beliefs were not entirely uniform across time. Other tomb texts and funerary decorations depict more active punishments, showing the damned bound, beheaded, or engulfed in lakes of fire. Scholars view these varying representations as coexisting traditions, rather than a single systematic cosmology. Whether through physical destruction or the sudden silence of non-existence, these images served as a stark warning of the ultimate cost of failing to align with the cosmic order. Today, our search for legacy still mirrors this ancient dread of erasure. The Egyptian underworld reminds us that survival relies not on wealth, but on the weight of our conscience. Ultimately, we are all still answering to the scale. Share your thoughts in the comments below.